ABCA 2024 with Tracy Hayes, the mobility chick. Good job today.
Thank you very much. I was going to show my little name tag, mobility chick.
You just got done speaking on a big stage in front of a lot of people. Were you nervous?
There were a lot of people there. You know what's funny? As I was walking there, my mouth just got drier and drier the closer I got to the room. Oh gosh, I hope that doesn't happen on stage. But once I was on stage, it was, I was comfortable and it was fun and I enjoy it. So.
Well, you did good. Good job.
You.
Deep breath.
I know, now I can actually relax.
Right. So the conversations here are pretty intense because a lot of coaches are familiar with some of the things that you're talking about. But let's just talk to the mainstream and the youth that are coming up. What is mobility?
It's funny, people ask me that. I'm like, I don't know. How do you describe it? And I'm the person who actually does it for a living. So mobility is being able to have the freedom of movement and the strength in that freedom of movement depending on what you're doing. So if it's a parent or just real life, being able to like reach into the back seat to get something or do something with your kids without limitation. In terms of athletes, it's being able to get into the body positions in a healthy way, in a free way, but also have the strength in those positions. Is how I kind of just like freedom of movement and having the strength and ability to have that freedom of movement.
So I'd imagine that that's different for each sport or player. I mean, there's probably a lot of differences, but there's probably also a lot that is the same across athletics, right? Or athletes. So like what would be those core, if you're just getting into mobility, here are some easy things to focus on that no matter what sport you play?
What I would say is if I were to start working with somebody, the number one thing I start working with is the underlying structural alignment and figuring out where their imbalances are and just getting them structurally aligned. So in my talk, I talked about head, rib cage, and pelvis and alignment. Once those get in whack, other stuff starts to clean up. But if you've got a forward head or an anterior tilt pelvis or a flared rib cage, there's gonna be compensations and stuff that's out of whack that you can't really get into until you start to clean up the other stuff. So a lot of the exercises that I do address that. So there's not one specific exercise, it's kind of like a combination of things.
All right, so we have a better idea of what mobility is. Now, what do we need to know about it though?
So I think there's a misconception about what players should be able to do and get into, and everybody sees stuff online on Instagram and TikTok, like I'm gonna do all these fancy drills. And I say, fuck the fancy, because most of the fancy, most people can't do. So I'm the person that's like, get the basics in check. Get just like the really basic foundations in check and then progress to something. And everybody thinks, oh, I'm at the progression. I'm at the top level of whatever exercise or drill. But what I find is 99% of the time, even my pro guys, we need to, I would say 100% of the time, honestly, is bring it back to the very basics and just work a lot of the basic stuff. And you can-
So like what would that be?
Like a quadruped or a bear position or a half kneel or
No idea what those are, but we can see them on your website, right?
Yeah, on my website and in the talk. So if there's any pictures,
they can go
send
back
you.
and watch it
Yeah.
too on the live stream, or
I think
it's
so.
recorded, right?
I think so, yeah. So those positions are the basic things that just nail those and it starts to clean up the other stuff. And then you can add on to the basics to get more from the basics than you would from the fancy. So F the fancy.
Yeah, F the fancy. That's the message here.
Yeah.
The mobility chick. Where can everybody find you?
mobilitychick.com and mobilitychick on all social platforms.
Good job today.
Thank you.
Congrats.
I appreciate it. I'm glad
you
you
made it
came.
through.